If you want to know how to use Trello, well, you're in the right place. My name's Sean. I help businesses automate and streamline their workflows. And today I'll be giving you a full beginner's guide on how to use Trello. I've been using Trello for the past 2 years, and it's a great tool to plan your roadmaps, organize your teams, and also note some ideas down. I've left some timestamps below so you can skip ahead to the relevant parts that you need to. And if you are enjoying this type of content, feel free to like and subscribe so you can keep updated to my future videos about Trello or other software that I'll be using in future as well. So once you signed up with your email address, Trello is going to take you through this initial sign up process. So the first part of that process is to name and create your team. So I'm just going to name this team Sean's Arsenal All-Stars, and we can create our team type. So I'm just going to name this one, give it a small business type as well, and in here is where you can include the email addresses of your team members so they can actually be included in your teams, and then they can see your Trello boards as well. So I'm just going to use one of my email addresses for now, and we'll use this one here. And then we'll hit continue. And then at this point, it's going to ask us if we want to sign up to the business class. If you're just starting off, I would probably recommend not going into the business class straight away. Essentially what it does is it gives you things like unlimited power-ups, unlimited number of boards, and there's a few automation tools you can use in there. If you know what you're doing, definitely go in and give it a try. There's also a 30-day trial, so you could use it and kind of see how you get on. But if you're just starting out, I would recommend starting with the business class, getting to know it a little bit more, and then you can kind of understand, and all those features within the business class will make sense later on. And it's also good for very large teams as well. So if you do have a company with a very large team, then you may want to consider it. But for now, we're going to click on this button below, which is start without business class. And we've got this nice work. Sean's Arsenal All-Stars are ready for action. Once we've completed that process, it's now going to bring us to its onboarding panel right here. And this onboarding panel is really just designed to take you through the motions of how to use Trello. And it's really there just to try and help you to make the best out of it initially. But luckily for you today, you have me, so we won't be needing this today. What we're going to do instead is we're going to have a look at this menu here, and we're going to click on boards right here. And once we've clicked on boards, it's going to take us to this new area, which is your workspace. And your workspace is really the area where you're going to see all your different Trello boards together. So you can create multiple Trello boards and use Trello boards for different uses. So you might have one for your personal goals, for example. You might have another one for your social media calendar, or you could have another Trello board for maybe your product roadmap, for example. At the top here, we can see these templates which are being suggested to us. And these templates are essentially pre-made Trello boards that you can use for any of your workflows or any of these uses as well. So there's a project management template if you need that, a Kaban one, a simple project board, and a remote team hub. But for today, we'll be looking at the templates a little bit later on in this video. And for now, we're going to go ahead and create our own board. We'll just click on create new board right here. And once we've created this new board, the first thing we need to do is actually name this board. So you can name it whatever you wanted. For this example, we're just going to go with a kind of small business to-do list. So I'm going to name it just that. So I'm going to name it small business tasks right here. And once we've named it, you also have the option to pick the background image of the Trello board as well. So it appears very small here, but as you can imagine, when it gets blown out, it's going to look like one of these images. So you could pick one of these. I normally prefer to pick something quite simple, like a mountain background, so it's not too distracting. Or sometimes I like to go for the plain colors as well if I know it's going to be quite a busy Trello board. So we'll just leave that for now. And also the other thing we can also do is we can select whether it's visible to our team or not. So if you wanted a private Trello board, maybe you were creating a Trello board for something like your personal goals, you could go ahead and make it private so only you can see that board. If it's a team board, so in this case I'm making one for this imaginary small business and I want all my employees to see it, then I'll put it in there. And then you also have the public option as well. And a good use case I've seen for the public option is when a lot of companies are creating public product roadmaps, so they can to show to their customers as well, so their customers can see that they're actually working on their different feature requests, and it makes the customers feel like they're heard as well. But you could use it for various uses. Today we'll just stick with the team and we'll click on create board. Alright, and once we created the board, so it's going to ask us to switch through, but we'll leave that for now. And once we created our board, so now what we're looking at is our first Trello board that we have created. And this is a very basic and plain one, but basic and plain is just what we need for now. So we'll start off with what we're looking at. At the top, we could see this menu here. This button with the grid of dots will just link you to other Atlassian products, so you don't need to really play with that. The home button will just take you back to your workspace that we looked at before. The board section will essentially give you a list of all the boards you created, so you can jump between boards as you're working. And then of course we have the jump to as well, which will allow you to search up any parts of the board, a particular card, or you could see mentions with a certain team member like yourself as well, or another one. Over on the right, we have this plus section right here, which will allow you to do things like create new boards or create a new team. The I button is just going to give you information from Trello, such as new blog posts or new tips as well. And then this bell icon is where you're going to see all of your notifications. And these notifications could be when another team member has alerted you about a certain card, or maybe you or another team member has been updating cards as well. You'll see the full list of what's been going on here. And then just beneath that, we have this switch view board menu, so we'll leave that. We could change the title here if we wanted again. And then now finally we have our main board. And with our main board, as we can see right here, we have these lists right here. And essentially a list within Trello is something that is going to help you to keep hold of all of those individual cards. And you can think of those individual cards as the individual tasks or projects within Trello, essentially. So in this case, we have a simple free list system. We have to do, so things we want that we plan on doing. We have doing, so things that we're currently doing. And then when things are done, we can simply move them in there. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our first card. So we can do that just by clicking add card right here. And we're going to create a few tasks. So the first thing, as an example, will be create a new logo. And then I've just hit enter, so that's our first card created. I'll create a second one, plan social media, Twitter posts, and then we'll have a third one, plan next, we'll have create, loads of typos, create next blog article. Okay, so we have those 3 cards in here, and that is basically how to set up a card. So once we've set up the card, the interesting part begins once we click on the card. Now we can start adding things to the card just to make it a little bit more rich. So within this create a new logo card, the first thing we can see is this description. So you can essentially add a few more details. So if I wanted to maybe add some parameters about the logo, so for example, the logo needs to be black and yellow with a good font. We'll just go with that. So we've added some details in there. You could do it in bullet points if you wanted. Once you hit save, then we could see the description has been added right here. Over on the left, we have this menu that you can really use to help to utilize your card. So the first is the members section, and this is where you can add some of your team members into the card. So as you can see, I have my other account right here. In your case, it could be your other team member, maybe a graphic designer or whatnot. You can add them here just so they are notified about this card, and then they can get all of the updates that happen within this card as well. The labels feature is another feature I like personally as well, and it really allows you to put your cards into different categories, and it helps to do this visually as well. So essentially what we can do is you can use any of these colors to create a label right here just by clicking on this pencil, and you can see the green tick is colored right there. So if we went, I'm just going to name this label design, and we'll hit save. And now once I select this label, we can see this label has been applied to this card right here. And the nice thing about Trello is when we exit the card, we can see the label right there at a glance. So that just helps to make things a little bit easier and to categorize your tasks as well. Next, we have the checklist feature right here. So you can actually use this kind of break down your tasks even further into various actions that need to be completed for this overall thing, for this overall task to be completed. So in this example, maybe it will be create a sketch of a logo, confirm the color scheme, and maybe create a SVG file. Okay, so we can see these tasks have been created here. The good thing about them as well is you could check them off and you can see the percentage of the task completion. And then the cool thing about Trello is once you've completed all the tasks, or even if you haven't, you could see the checklist progress right here, again at a glance, and you can also see the team member as well, which is nice and handy. Beneath that, we have the due date section. So it's really as simple as it sounds. You can essentially just add a due date to this specific card. So if in this example I just wanted to add in maybe we can go with April 3rd. You also have the option to add in reminders as well when the deadline is coming up. So this could be useful for managing your team members as well. And then next we have the attachments section, which is also very useful for adding in any attachments or documents that you might need to complete this particular task. And I find this quite useful because it really just helps me to have everything all in one place, rather than searching through emails or through Slack messages as well. I can just have everything laid out here so I can go away and complete my work, and you can upload stuff directly from your computer or from Google Drive, Dropbox, or wherever you kind of store your files. And then we also have this cover section as well, and the cover section is something I also really like because it kind of gives a visual element to your cards as well. So if you're like me and you're more of kind of a visual person, it helps to really give some visuals to the card as well, so you can kind of see how everything is looking at a glance. So you can upload your own cover image, or you can select one of the preloaded ones from Unsplash right here. So if, for example, I'll just go with this kind of space looking image right here, and you could select how the kind of cover is going to look, whether the text is going to be at the bottom or part of it right here, and we'll just go with that. Okay, so I'm liking the look of that. And then when we exit again, so we could see this card right here create a new logo, and it really just helps to add a kind of visual element to some of your cards. I would say this is very useful again if you're a very visual learner, or if you're using for the Trello board for other use cases as well. Next, we have the power-ups section. So the power-ups with Trello is more of an advanced feature. We won't be covering that in this video, but essentially what it will do is it allows you to kind of use Trello in some more boosted ways. So there's things like automations, there's a few data dashboards as well that you can use, and also a few calendar views as well, which you can definitely get into. But yeah, this is a great feature. If you're a beginner, I would probably stay away from this for now and kind of get the grips of the basics of Trello, and then go into that later. But if you did have any questions on it, feel free to comment below, and I'll be happy to answer. And then further down, we have the butler section as well. Again, more advanced, and it's to do with automations. And then beneath that, we have some of the basic functions as well, such as moving the card. So you do have the ability to move it into a different list. So let's say if we did want to begin this create a new logo task right here, you have the option to simply move it to a new list right here. So we can put it in the doing pile, and then once we clicked on doing, when we go back, it's in this doing section as well. But that isn't the only way to move your card. You can just simply drag and drop it as you choose to as well. And once we've gone back in there, then you could do things like you can make a photocopy of it. You could turn this card into a template. So I find this is quite useful for repeatable cards. So maybe something like create a blog article. If this was something that I was doing every week, instead of creating a new card with the same kinds of checklists all the time, I can simply make it into a template, and then that will be done from that as well. And then from here, this is essentially the basic version of a Trello board in general. So essentially what most people do is they would drag it across when they update it into a new stage, and then once they've finished with it, they'll put it in this done section right here. Some people like to leave all of their finished tasks within this done list right here, which is fine, and there's nothing wrong with it. If you're like me, sometimes I like for these things to disappear, so you also have the option to archive it here, and then it kind of just removes it visually from your list anyway. But if you ever want to go back to it, because it's archived, you can just search and then it will bring that back up if you need to. And that is your basic Trello board. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the home section, and we're just going to go through a few templates as well that you could potentially use for your business. So the first one we'll look at is this remote team hub one right here, and this is a template that's been created by the Trello team. And as we can see, they've used theirs a little bit differently. So they have the first list for their team info. They have a list for some of their current projects right here. And then they also have one for the completed project. So it's not too far off what we've created before. And then once we click in each of these, You could see the description of what's going on with each card, and then you can kind of make use of it from there. And all of these templates we're looking at are available to you once you've signed up for Trello. And the second template we'll be looking at is the Kaban template right here. And as we can see, this is designed with obviously Kaban, a Kaban board in mind. I really like the way they've used the first cards as the visual element, so you kind of know straight away which list is for what, and it's a very nice visual element instead of just a black and white card right here. And then the card beneath it are the actual tasks that we can see. So we can see the backlog on the left rather. We can see the design section right here. We can add some to-dos if we wanted as well. And also the thing I like is we also have this, you could read a little bit about the template, who created it, and it gives you a nice description as well. And then we'll just go through one more template as well. So we'll go through the simple project board. And the simple project board is very similar to the one we've created. They've gone for a very lively background. And you can really, the good thing about these templates is you can really see how you can make Trello your own. One of Trello's biggest strengths, but also one of its weaknesses, is that it's extremely flexible. So you don't have to use it in the way I've seen it, in the way I've used it, or one of these templates. You can really go ahead and make it your own. So in this case, they've decided to make a brainstorm section right here. They've got a few to-dos, doing, and then done. And then they've got a few inspirational covers at the top, just to, I'm assuming, get their team a little bit more excited as well. Alright, so that brings us to the end of the Trello tutorial. If you did enjoy that, feel free to like and subscribe. Check out my other videos, which can also help you to automate your business and streamline your workflow. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments and I'll be happy to help out.